Just saying. We're coming at
All they do is smoke it and drool on themselves.
the dirty tea.
That's it. Start making sense at a party.
It's
To
hot,
have a Narcan.
but it's going to get hotter. Because we got a lot of shit to talk about. We got to get our shit together.
Did I bump my fucking head?
Wow.
Where am I,
Because
man?
have you looked
What the
around
fuck
you
is going on
lately?
here?
Wow.
Start making sense.
Why do we spend so much time like talking about dumb shit? You know, I don't want to talk about the weather. I can feel the weather. You know what I mean? If I don't know how, you know, it feels outside, all I have to do really is go check it out. You know? That's all. It's not a huge ordeal. I don't care about the score of the game, okay? You know, I mean, I dig sports, but I just feel like there's a lot more shit we need to be talking about, people. I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm right. You know, that doesn't mean I'm right, but I do believe it is my opinion that we need to start having a little bit more meaningful dialogue with each other. Try to understand each other more. You know? Like, cuz I think a lot of our problem is we just we don't understand what the other person's talking about. And we're so busy thinking about what, you know, we have going on, you know, that we don't pay attention to what we should. You know, the important things. So, you know, for me, don't come at me with dumb shit.
In the 2020s.
So, I got a call from my good friend Steve Tate, and we had a conversation about this subject, and here's a little piece of our conversation. It was pretty cool. You know, for myself, you know, sometimes if I'm not engaged in what somebody's saying, if I'm not fully engaged, then I'm not going to hear it all. You know, I'm just going to skim through it and just pick out what I need just to get out of the conversation, you know? And it's like if we were talking about what the real effect of this is having on the spirituality, the spiritual psyche of people, you know, then you know why people are getting ready to crack up, it seems.
Absolutely. Well, you know, again, I just really feel ultimately we are creatures of desire. What it is that we desire is what it is we will seek after and we will follow through and do. And if people don't want to talk, they're not going to talk. And, you know, they're not going to want to listen either. We have two ears and one mouth. And I agree with you, Brother Chris, man. You know, talking is important, but listening, I think, is even more important. And you know, that's a tough one. A lot of people don't have the patience anymore to listen. They just are so quick to make a judgment on the initial words that come out. They don't want to look deeper into the person speaking the words.
Right.
You know, I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like I'm complaining, but I do feel that there's a serious lack of connection between people nowadays. I mean,
oh, there's a block. There's a total block, dude.
Even our friends, even friends we've had for a long time.
Absolutely.
It seems that the internet has cheapened the feeling of having that friend.
Yeah, that's totally true, bro. It
You know,
is.
and I'm pretty sad about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I feel you.
I feel kind of isolated. I mean, I know quite a few people, but I don't get to talk to them anymore. Nobody wants to talk.
Yeah,
They
it's
don't wanna give
weird.
a phone call, you
I
know?
think COVID had something to do with it, bro. You know, people.
Yeah.
I mean, it made it even worse. You know,
It did. It did.
it
And
just
now there's
sucked.
people, dude, that actually have apprehensions about being on the phone or talking in person.
Yeah.
They would rather type out a message.
Well, yeah, because they get to be who they want, right? They don't have to. And this is the next point I wanted to make. I'm glad you said that, Smoking. Here's the other thing we're missing in this society is accountability. Because you can run your mouth as much as you want and you can listen as much as you want. But if you're not accountable for what you do, for the things that you say, especially, we have to be accountable for those things because the sheer lack of accountability and entitlement that is just infesting everything and everyone is over the top to me. That's my opinion.
It is. And you know what? The old-fashioned way, yeah, and it is, might be old-fashioned. Some of you out there might think so, and that's fine. But thinking before speaking, there's a lack of that. There's a big lack of
There's
that.
a fucking idea.
Yeah, what a concept, huh?
Yeah, who'd have
And it's
thought?
like, yeah, I don't. I'm not. I'm not happy with the way we communicate these days. I'm not happy with the lack of connection and really like really past socializing, fellowshipping with people, like coming together and having a get together just so we can be in each other's presence.
Right.
What's wrong with
Or
that?
somebody has to die, right? Someone's got to die or whatever before people will come together and shit.
Yeah, the dead person
It's
doesn't
fucking
even know
disgusting.
they're
Yeah,
there, you know?
exactly. It's like, too bad what's his name isn't here. This is fucked up. Maybe we should have done this before now. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So I want to get a little bit personal on you there, Steve. Like, you are an over-the-road trucker. Am I right?
Yeah.
So, and you do this endeavor with your beloved lady.
Yes, I do.
How do you find, what's that like, dude? Like just being together always.
It is, for me personally, I really love it.
Mm-hmm.
I really love it. And it's not like it doesn't present its own challenges. You know, we drive around together. We're in a fairly confined space. There is enough room for us to navigate and move around and, you know, do what we do. But you know, sometimes, you know, you just need to vent. Yeah, sometimes little squabbles will come up, and little you know, stupid arguments, man. And it's like that does happen when you spend time all the time with anybody. But at the same time, I feel that it has created an interdependence between my wife and I. Now, there's a big difference between interdependence and codependence.
Indeed, I'm glad you pointed that out.
Okay, but then again, a much better alternative than a lot of the solo drivers that are out there that get so disconnected from everybody. They need human interaction, and they are so lonely. You know, we run into a lot of these solo drivers, and boy, I'll tell you what, they start talking, and it just comes out like a faucet
it must
of water.
suck. It must.
They've got so much to say and so much bottled up on the inside, and they're lonely.
Yeah,
They're lonely. And so So, but we feel that we're in a highly favorable situation together all the time like that, you know, and it takes work to maintain your togetherness sometimes, but it's okay. It's a good thing.
So, do you got any haters these days, Smoking Steve?
Well, no, well, maybe. I mean, we actually have more problems with other truck drivers than we do, you know, smaller passenger vehicles.
Yeah.
There's a lot more respect from the smaller ones because, you know, we're in such a large vehicle, but the
Yeah.
other truck
Do
drivers.
kids still do that thing with their arm where like they want you to honk the horn?
All the time. We love it. You know, we see a little kid going out and doing the arm pump, and
Yeah.
we love to honk the horn for them. It's
God,
really cool.
that's
Yeah.
a classic.
And you always get greeted with a big old huge bright smile. And
Oh yeah.
it's just a little few couple seconds in your day that makes you happy, you know.
It's badass. It's badass. You know, if we could be more like them, we would have it made in this life. You know, Jesus even said so. Jesus is like, you know, if you guys could be a little bit more like, you know, these little guys, you might have a chance of getting into heaven.
True.
Losers.
And there's a difference between childlike and childish.
Indeed. Another very fine distinction, for sure. For sure.
But
Definitely.
no, communication definitely needs to improve between us all, you know, because I think that miscommunication is actually probably the largest cause of any arguments or differences that people have. You know, a small miscommunication can totally be misconstrued as a totally different intention than what the person wanted. It's complicated, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is. It's complex. It's a complex problem. But you know what, man? If we can send guys to Mars, we can figure out how to re-engineer the way we speak to each other, the way we listen to each other. We can, you know, we can make that happen. You know, it's not beyond us. So, real quick, because I got about 40 seconds left.
okay.
What is the human condition?
Fallen. 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 Flawed. Imperfect.
Is that all?
As far as our condition, I think that we've become hedonistic. I think that we have become selfish, and we have become self-worshiping and self-serving. And I really think that also is the largest cause of the communication gaps between us.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, Smoking Steve, because the other day I spent almost the entire day watching a seminar by Matthew McConaughey. And he mentioned in one segment of the seminar about selfishness, like the differences between selfishness and selfishlessness, right? So, and there is a huge difference. And where he was coming from, and you can sort of see his logic, is that, you know, we have to be somewhat selfish in this life just to take care of ourselves, you know, and literally just taking care of yourself these days translates to you have to protect your energy, you know, you gotta try to be, you know, healthy mentally, spiritually. You know, it's 11:11 on the clock, Smoking Steve.
Right on. Well, do I have time to make another comment?
Absolutely, brother.
and through my own experiences and my many mistakes, by the way, failure and mistakes have been a really harsh teacher, but they've been effective for me. And what my failures and my mistakes have taught me is one thing: there's a difference between self-preservation and selfishness.
Indeed.
I have to preserve myself, or I can't be good to anybody else. So
Right.
there's that factor too, So I'm saying that ultimately there just seems to be an apathy for other people, to lack of empathy. Narcissism is on the rise, man.
Yeah, big
And so
time. It's
that
the norm. Are you
it is.
kidding me?
And we need to, we maybe on the next segment or something we can talk about that, but it's noteworthy to mention.
Absolutely. It's insane. Oh, we got so many things we're going to talk about, Smoking Steve. I can't wait. I mean, we should definitely have you on, like, as a regular, if not a co host.
So much. I appreciate it a lot, dude. Thank you for having me on.
I love you, Steve. You're my boy. Please give my love to Lady Kelly.
I sure will, and I will continue to, look forward to our next segment.
Absolutely, I will certainly let you know. So you put that pedal to the metal, good buddy.
I will.
Over and out, and watch out for the Smokies.
All right, promise I will, man. Take care of yourself.
Have a good day, Steve. Be safe. So I wanted to get some different perspectives on it. So I asked a friend of mine who works in the behavioral health field to if she would be so kind as to sit with me and talk to me about it. And this was our interview. This is Cindy Sue Graffio, a dear friend of mine. Rolling at this point. So yeah, that's the thing about internet, that it's you're just at the mercy of it. You know what I mean? So
That's the truth.
I have a guest with me today. That I'm very honored to have her with me on our first show, our first episode. We talked about this, but this is Cindy Sue Graffio. She's a dear friend of mine, and she works in the field of behavioral health. And we're going to talk a little bit about how the things that we say to ourselves and to other people and the way that we're communicating just doesn't really seem to be getting the job done. So, what do you think about the substance of our conversations? Don't you think we need to move past sort of small talk and like start talking about something that's way more meaningful?
I believe it's a process. First of all, I'll let people know a little bit of my background. I am a crisis mobile team first responder. I've been in the behavioral health field for 17 years. I am a behavioral health specialist, and so this is something that I've worked with for a long time. And working with the community in my work, um, society, so to speak, has a, let's just call it a tune, a vibration. And this vibration, if we move away from this vibration, we tend to feel uncomfortable. We tend to uh, go through a lot of struggle within because we're moving outside of what society has us set to be in. And so the conversation of being more real and talking more about what's really going on with us or the world, so to speak, is going to have to be a slow process because it's like stepping off of a railroad track. Um, when you're on the track and you step off, you kind of crash. And so it has to be a gradual process. And beginning it now is a good thing. I mean, it's been beginning for a while now, but the continuation of it is going to help.
So, what's better? What's more important? Talking better or listening better?
Well, better is a word I guess I wouldn't use, but effectively. Effective communication is incredibly important. Um, as a society, we're taught to be a certain way, talk a certain way, and so we're not even true to ourselves. We, let's just, for lack of better words, lie to ourselves. We lie to other people, and to be real, it doesn't start with just, okay, let's just be real. Let's just talk the truth. In all honesty, we have to work on ourselves and be okay with ourselves, to be okay with saying the truth. So, self awareness, being okay with who I am, is the beginning of communicating effectively, honestly.
Right. And confidence. It helps you gain confidence too.
Absolutely. And then you're not worried about, oh, what are they going to think? What are they going to say?
Right.
How are they going to feel about me? When you're
So
okay with
tired of
yourself, it's okay.
worrying about what other people think. Ugh.
Yep. Yep. And when you're okay with yourself, I mean, I speak the truth constantly, and you know me, if I don't agree, I'm going to tell you. But I'm not going to tell
Right.
you in a way that, piles some shit on top of it. I'm going to
Right. You're
tell
not going to be
you
an
in a
asshole
way that
about
you'll
it.
hear me.
A productive way.
Yeah. Like in a way that you're going to hear
Something
me.
that, yeah, that's going to actually help instead of hinder, this
Yeah.
situation. Because words are all we got, right? They're the only magic we really have. You can,
Well, there's somebody I know
you,
that he'll say, well, they don't like hearing the truth. Well, if you pile some crap on top of that truth, they're not going to hear it.
right, exactly. Right, because it stinks and nobody wants to wade through a bunch of shit to get to the truth. So I think it's hard to disconnect from it all, though, like I don't even watch the fucking news anymore.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just expect to hear it from somebody else. You know what I mean?
I'll
Because I
read the
don't want to
news
watch the
just so
news.
that I'm up on what the news is saying, but I just read so that I'm aware of the whole world itself and where it's moving. And that's
Do you think
important, but
that, right? Do you think that we get the truth from them? I mean,
not
honestly,
always.
in your
But I
opinion,
go by
not
how I
always.
feel.
Right. Me
It
too,
is what it might be what's happening, but everything is a perspective. And
for
so when
sure.
you look at the whole picture, you're able to see it more clearly
Hmm.
instead of reading just one, let's say, source. You're looking at all
Right.
sources, even people and groups, and looking at it all. You're kind of able to kind of go, oh, this is what's really going on.
Discernment. Discernment
Yes.
is important. Very, very important. And
Yep.
temperance, it
Just saying.
seems. Just saying. Just saying. So, what do you, in your opinion, is, because we've been talking about this, what is the human condition? What does that phrase mean?
The human condition is the way we've been conditioned from beyond. Um,
Birth.
society is society. Let's just say, let me use an example. If somebody was to grab you, like, let's not say somebody, but let's say this big giant bird comes and grabs you and brings you to a totally different, let's say, island. And the people on that island absolutely love you, and you're their their amazing God, and you're everything to them. Will you be different? Because when we're here, we're not living life the same way somebody else is in another country because they're influenced with their society.
Right.
It's all society. It has to be with the condition of the area that you're in.
So it's it's subjective,
Yes, very,
right?
very.
Um, so it really just depends on what the condition of your life is. But the way I understand it is it's more of like a collective thing. When they speak of it, isn't it spoken of in the context of being collective?
There is a collective portion of it because we're human beings. We're all human. We all have those emotions of sadness and anger, but society shapes it. And so some people aren't allowed to show their feelings. Let's say in other countries where women aren't allowed to even show nothing but their eyes. I mean, it depends on where you're at.
Don't
But we're
even
all
get me
human. We still
started.
have those feelings. So we
Don't
do have a
even get me
collectiveness.
started on the girls that they're hanging over in Iran or any of that mess. Ooh, we. Yeah,
That's the
sorry, I didn't
society.
mean to
Could you
interrupt.
imagine having to live in that? And we
Oh, that
don't
is
have to live
just
in that, so we don't think about it. We don't take that into our worldview. I look at all of that, and plus, I'm on a different platform that has different people from other countries that says, "Oh, in our country, da 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 da," and I'm like, that's so fascinating because it's not how it is here, and I wonder what that's like.
it's pretty crazy. It's hard to know what to what to do, or what to believe, or do you make plans for
Most
the
of them dealing with drugs and alcohol, and that is self-medicating for some kind of substantial loss in their life, whether it be a loss of part of themselves or a loss of a family member. Um, and so then it just kind of tumbles like a snowball down the hill. And it doesn't get much better until you're able to break free. But the source of the problem is the loss. And so having to work with the loss. Now, me, I understand it. So I don't look at how bleak things are. I look at here I am, what can I do?
right?
And so I'm
Exactly.
doing it.
You live in the moment because that's really the
Yep.
only the only thing that we have. The future is definitely not assured, and the
Nope.
past is gone. So the only gift that we have is right this very moment. And that's a really
Yep.
good point, Cindy Sue, to tell people to to live, be more present. Like I mentioned something yesterday about people and their cell phones. Like we're not experiencing things. Like we don't really know what the human condition is because we're not really experiencing it
And this
anywhere
is a
except for like in a
technology.
camera lens. In a camera
Sure.
lens, like we go to a concert, like we've been waiting all year to see this concert, right? And then we get there and we're so busy capturing it that we're not living it in that moment.
But even so, understanding that nowadays it's a technological world. I mean, my 1.5-year-old grandson sits with a phone and watches programs and different things. It is what it is. Can I sit and kick my feet about it and yell? No. It's the way
No.
it is right now. So with that, we work with that. Okay, how can we find ways to bring him outside? And us personally, mindfulness, one person asked me what mindfulness was, and I took them around and had them using their senses, gave them a baggie, had them pick up things, and had them feeling stuff, had them smelling what they smelled, had them hearing what they hear, write it down. And when they got done, I asked them what they discovered, and they told me. And I said, "Were you thinking about tomorrow? No. Were you thinking about yesterday? No." And so that's the idea of mindfulness. It's going outside and using every one of the senses that God gives you to take in the world as it is. When I was with my kids were younger, when we go in a restaurant, we'd sit at a table, I tell them to shut their eyes. And I'd say, "What color is the seat you're sitting on?" Guess what? They were wrong every single time. When I go in a restaurant, I put my hand on the wall. I look at what's on the walls, what the ceiling's made of. I smell the smells in the air. It's a habit. You have to create that habit. So it takes more work now because it is a technological day and we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, true that. Let me ask you, Cindy, like all the all the stories and all everybody's stories and stuff that you listen to on a daily basis. Um, how do you deal with that spiritually? Like, do you just sort of disassociate yourself from it, or do you ever find yourself coming home just going, "Ugh,
Oh
I'm
no,
really
it don't
just
affect me at all. I know it sounds kind of dumb, but it doesn't affect me at all. It's kind of like if you were, and I don't mean to belittle anybody by the reference I'm going to use, but if you were to come up to a small child and they didn't know what certain things were that we do when we're older, and you go, "Oh, you're still learning," and you don't get stressed out because that child doesn't know anything, but some people are still at the child level. They're still learning, not that it's a bad thing, but they're still learning, and some people are back further than others, and that's okay. And so I'm okay with wherever anybody is at their time in their learning
Right.
process.
In your life.
Well, there is this platform. It isn't unknown. It's been on the news. It's been on the national news. It's been on some talk shows. It's called Inner World, and it is a VR platform, but it's also available on computer and iPhone. And it's a behavioral health app where it's peer supported, where you can come in, you can get support from everybody that is your peer with no therapy, just support. And so I have just interviewed for a guide position there, this volunteer, and I'm really excited because it's more chances for me to support other people.
Video. There definitely is more where that came from. I had a couple of notes. The human condition, in my attempt to define it in its collective definition, I found that the only thing collective about the human condition is that it takes everyone to experience this condition individually for it to even exist. It seems to me that the human condition is actually the one condition every human being, living and dead, has ever shared. Clearly, our human condition depends greatly on our circumstances and our mental and emotional state, to be sure. But what about our souls? How big of a role does our spirituality have, in dealing with the all the bullshit that, gets vomited up on us? It's changing. The only way to know these things is to have these types of conversations, not to argue or shut down. Don't shut down either, because nothing gets solved like that. When we shut down, and I'm guilty of it, I'll shut down on you like that, but it's something to work on, which is best. Perhaps there isn't a best. Maybe it's all right. But you have to talk. You have to talk. And when you do, make it about something meaningful. We only have a, a finite amount of breaths in us. We only have so much time. Remember why you're doing this, what this whole journey is about for you. Remember why you're doing this, and remember who you're doing it for and whose journey it is. Raise your vibration. Become the absolute best version of yourself that you can. Nothing else matters. Believe me, nothing else matters. So stay up, be safe, and don't forget to say thanks to the Most High. Peace. Till next time.